Hey guys, so I felt compelled today to make this video, and again, as I've said in other videos, I think this one is meant for some specific people today. You guys are my SPs today. You're my specific people. This is for somebody out there for sure, because I just feel compelled to talk about this. And what I want to talk about is what to do mentally when you keep trying to get something and failing over and over and over again. You know, whether you're trying to do it the conventional way or whether you're trying to manifest it or whatever. You know, like for me, I had two of these big ones throughout my 20s and 30s, which was I couldn't get literal external control. I could not get my body the way I wanted it. I was overweight, and I could just, no matter what I did, no matter what I thought or intended, you know, I could not get what I wanted to become manifest in my reality. And relationships were the other one. No matter what, well, I just, without the weight thing, without that part being resolved, I just didn't feel like I was good enough to have what I wanted. So I kept trying to get what I wanted anyway, and unsurprisingly, it didn't work. I would get into long relationships, but there would be you know, every time there would be just a fatal flaw. Something about the relationship, the relationship would be good, and I would want to stay in it and, you know, have a relationship with a person that was very attached and everything, but then there was some aspect that I just couldn't live with. That repeated itself for 20 years. So that's the kind of shit I'm talking about, where you're just mired in this. I have these unsatisfying things. I keep trying to get them, but I can't seem to get anything to happen, or I can't seem to get the thing I want to happen. I can't seem to get fulfilled. So the first thing that I want to say about that is that you are doing it. This is the part of the process. You are doing it. You're watching this video. You're in the vicinity of all of the things, the tools that you need to finally get there. So this is really for people who are at the point of giving up. So you are doing it. This is part of the process. You know, the bridge of incidents between your intention and the realization of your intention isn't some magical series of events. A lot of times it's just living life in the interim and learning and experiencing things the way you do. So you are doing it. You haven't failed. You're still in the process. You'll know you're done when you have the thing, and you will have the thing if you stay the course. But the caveat there is that one of the big things I think is responsible for failure, and I've talked about this recently on these videos about myself, is the mistaken idea that the 3D external manifestation of this desire is what you truly want. I can tell you for sure, you do not want that external 3D manifestation if it does not come with it the happiness and satisfaction that you think it's going to bring you, right? Everyone can agree with that. It's not about having an external thing. It's about having the external thing for a reason, and that reason is fulfillment or something. Fill in the blank with whatever it is for you. If you got that thing without the accompanying mental satisfaction, whatever that translates to for you, it would be meaningless. And I can tell you that from personal experience, through just, you know, manifesting myself, literally manifesting myself into a person who could basically accomplish anything in the 3D. That was the route that I took. You know, I just started making stuff happen. I made that stuff happen eventually. That was how I finally got a hold of the weight and appearance thing. Was I realized really in sort of a magical moment, what am I talking about? Of course I can do this. This is a simple math equation. This is simply self-control, and this is managing my own thinking. Of course I can do this. This is easy. Losing weight is very easy. It's very easy. this thing that eludes everybody is not difficult. It is, you know, when you take all of the emotional garbage off of it, it's so easy. It's so easy. I mean, I apologize. I just drank a Red Bull again. I'm at the gym. It's easy. It's a math equation. It works for everybody. And it's not even that difficult. The only thing that makes it difficult are the psychological resistances that we have to it, and some, you know, programmed biological, you have this drive to eat. Those things aren't that hard to manage from the right mental state. So that's how I figured this out, by just manhandling it, by just being the person that could execute the 3D process that would bring that about. Got it, didn't solve it. I don't want to go into that in depth here. I've been talking about that lately on my videos, and I'll make a big video about how this all kind of played out. When I got the 3D manifestation of the appearance, it didn't do for me what it needed to do for me. So I shifted gears, made a new intention, and now that has played out over the last 3 years. In, of course, a way I could never have imagined. But so that's important to realize. It's important just to understand, even if you're resistant to the idea right now that the 3D thing you think you know you want and all that, if you're resistant to the idea that there's even any possibility that that could not be the thing that you want, which it seems there is a lot of sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like vitriol. People are very like, it's like there's this anger and frustration that comes out at the suggestion that getting this thing might not, you know, solve this problem. Even if you're not very open to that idea, at least open your mind to the idea, or understand, because it's a truth, that getting that thing without getting the feelings and fulfillment that you think would go with that would be meaningless, right? So you can at least agree that it's the mental state that's the important part of that equation, of that final manifested state. You don't want the thing without the state. So that understanding alone, I think, opens many doors. You know, it's funny how like a tiny mental shift can start to snowball into larger understandings and larger, you know, you can perceive something that was right there, but yet you were blind to it just by shifting a tiny bit. So the point of all of this is to say that if you're failing, if you're frustrated, if you're not getting anywhere, like for like 20 years, I didn't get anywhere, not 1 inch. I didn't get, you know, with the control over myself moving towards the goal of changing my body. I got nowhere. Like I did not have one successful day on purpose. If I said, okay, I'm going to achieve this goal and here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to eat this and I'm going to do this. Like it's like the more I intended for those things to happen, the less I would actually execute them. I was better off when I wasn't thinking about it at all. You know, things would stabilize at a lower point when I just got busy with something else. So I totally understand the frustration of getting nowhere. Just understand that you are in the process. That failure over and over and over again for me was a part of it. It took a really long time because my mind wasn't open to any of this stuff that I'm talking about. It took a really long time for me to get to the point where I understood that I had to come at it from another direction. So the failures that you're experiencing, the frustration, that is leading you to the point where you can have a breakthrough about what you actually need to be doing and how you actually need to be thinking. So while this isn't, you know, while I can't really tell you what you need to do today, other than that, this might not be very useful outside of that, just understand that it's a part of the process. And I guess what I'm saying here is you're not cursed to always have this problem. You already know what you're trying to do. You might be thinking you need to go about it a way that is not going to get you there. And the failure will lead you to understand that, to a point where you can do something with it. You know, sometimes you have to fail at something enough times before you can just freaking let go of the idea that that's the way you're going to get something. I mean, so anyway, but that frustration and failure can lead to some really fucking low points. So anyway, that's why I'm making this video, because I'm sure somebody watching this at some point is going to be right in that place looking for relief and magically land on this video. So I hope that helps. It was a long process for me because I am a stubborn person. I think, you know, if I think I'm going to get something a certain way, if I think I really want something, it's hard for me to or in the past, for sure, it was hard for me to let it go. But I can also say, you know, and at this point, this has been so consistent now that it's almost like if I feel this way, then it's a big clue. But if there's something that I think is like the last thing I would want, I've found that often the thing I think is the last thing that I would want to happen is the thing that needs to happen in order to get where I'm trying to go, you know, or it's just a total, you know, it's like the thing that I imagine being the worst way to something ends up being the way that I personally can appreciate the most. I don't know why this is, but I've noticed that also. Like, just an example off the top of my head was when I was like in my early 20s and I was struggling financially, my worst nightmare was the idea of having to move back in with my mom. And through no, other than my own, you know, other than my decisions that led me to that point, through no financial irresponsibility of my own directly, I ended up having to live with my mom again for a year and a half. And while I was there, I had this thought one day. I was like, you know, this is probably going to be the last time I ever live with my mom. I was 27 at the time. You know, maybe instead of looking at this as like oh God, I'm such a loser, I live with my mom, which, by the way, it was way more losery to live with your parents 20 years ago than it is now. I know, like, everybody's doing that now. Instead of thinking about what a loser I am living at home at 27, you know, maybe I should be looking at this as this is one more little, you know, this is one little return to childhood, sleeping in my old bedroom, and, you know, this is going to be the last time I live with my mom, probably, until she's like really old maybe and not all there. So maybe I should appreciate this. And like in that moment, everything flipped, and I enjoyed the rest of the time I lived there, and I moved out a year later, and no harm, no foul, right? And I was able to save a shitload of money while I was there too. So just that thing that was my worst nightmare when I was 22 ended up not even being a big deal. I mean, it was certainly horrifying when it happened, but what, you know, these things are boogeymen, really. You can just look at them differently. And that's basically the heart of all of this. You know, look at something differently. You see a different way to the thing you want, get the thing you want. It's not as complicated, or it really doesn't involve as many moving parts a lot of the time as it seems to. A lot of it is just a mental shift. So have a great day.